Hello everyone, and welcome to ISDA's 35th Annual General Meeting. It's great to be able to host this flagship event again after a one-year hiatus, even though we can only do it remotely. Over the past year, the pandemic has driven enormous changes in our personal and professional lives. It has led to pain and economic hardship for so many people around the world. Far too many people have lost loved ones or faced huge financial uncertainties. As vaccines are rolled out, it is my profound hope that better times are ahead and that we will be able to meet again in person very soon and continue the road to recovery. Of course, one of the major changes during the pandemic has been the pivot to remote working. Who would have imagined that we would spend more than a year working at home, working from makeshift offices, conducting all of our meetings via Zoom? Who would have thought that at our last AGM in Hong Kong in 2019 that we'd be watching this one on our computer screens? The pandemic has essentially triggered a digital revolution. Without warning, the entire industry had to switch from operating remotely without access to files and printers. Everything had to be done digitally, from the meeting with colleagues to negotiating documents and processing trades. All of this at a time of extreme market stress. Now, there are two key lessons we've learned since March of 2020. First, financial markets are resilient and can withstand a major shock. And I'll speak about this later in the week. Second, we can do our jobs effectively without being physically located in the workplace. While most of us will return to our offices, albeit on a hybrid basis, we must not forget that we've created a new model for working that puts far more emphasis on a fully digital environment. The world of paper and files is over, but we need to continue with our journey towards a robust, fully digital financial system. At ISDA, we're working hard to build that reality. It's a future where the terms of every trade are captured electronically and fed directly into a trading, operational, or risk management system in a consistent way. It's an environment where electronic documents and definitions are easily accessible on a single digital platform, and where firms can access golden source of data on a digital format where a standard codable taxonomy of products, events, and processes enable alignment and automation right through the life cycle. In my remarks today, I will set out three key digitization initiatives that we think that will revolutionize the market, from the development of the common domain model, the upgrade of our legal definitions, and the expansion of online negotiation of documentation. At previous AGMs, I've talked about the opportunity to develop a digital standard that connects market participants with key infrastructure such as clearinghouses and electronic trading venues and data repositories. The rationale has always been clear. The lack of a common industry-wide terminology for trade events and processes has increased complexity and operational challenges and hampered front-to-back automation. Now, I'm pleased to say that ISDA has made tremendous progress in achieving this through the development of the common domain model. This is becoming the lingua franca for derivatives, providing an unparalleled opportunity to achieve greater consistency across firms and systems and eliminating inefficiency and reducing costs. We're working to deploy the CDM in multiple areas and are currently using it to address one of our most challenging parts of the regulatory framework, derivatives trade reporting. As revisions are made to reporting requirements around the world to improve accuracy and alignment, the CDM will pave the way towards a more effective and consistent global reporting network. Digital regulatory reporting using the CDM enables firms to interpret and implement reporting rules consistently through the common machine-readable code. It will improve the integrity and the comparability of what is reported, enabling regulators to get a clearer picture of trading activity and risk. ISDA is working with regulators, market participants, and trade repositories to take this work forward, and we've completed successful pilots with the Bank of England and the Monetary Authority of Singapore. In October of 2020, ISDA won a G20 Hackathon in which we demonstrated the potential for the CDM to enhance regulatory reporting. Now, this is just one example, and we're working with firms in a variety of areas, from trading to clearing, to embed the CDM in the derivatives infrastructure. Now, in the next step of our digital journey, we're targeting the legal terms and definitions that are central to our markets. With the coming weeks, we will publish the 2021 ISDA interest rate definitions, which will be our first natively digital definition booklet, and the implementation for these new definitions is scheduled for early October. As you all know, ISDA zealously manages the industry definitions and provides a constant flow of amendments to ensure that they are current. Until now, we've updated the definitions by layering on supplement after supplement. Now, this practice is unnecessary in the digital age. The 2021 definitions will incorporate vital updates that reflect the many changes that have occurred since the previous set of definitions were first published in 2006. This includes changes to cash settlement provisions, the role of calculation agents, and the description of floating rate options. However, firms will also be able to quickly and efficiently access definitions in an electronic form via web-based user interface, including on mobile devices. Now, I'd like to pause here and play a short animation about the transformational change we're about to implement.
ISDA's 2006 definitions booklet is the standard contractual reference for global interest rate derivatives trading. Since the booklet came out 15 years ago, a lot has changed. Regulatory reforms, new technology, evolving market practice. But the 2006 definitions have remained relevant thanks to more than 70 supplements, amendments, and additions that have supported the definitions. However, cobbling these supplements together has become increasingly difficult to manage. That's why ISDA is introducing the 2021 interest rate derivatives definitions. These new definitions will be published electronically on a new web-based user interface rather than in paper or PDF form like the old ones. This will allow the definitional booklet to be revised in full each time an update is made, removing the need for supplements. The new interface will have versioning capabilities, so users can easily find the version of the definitions that applied at any point in time and compare different iterations. In addition, new features have been added, like hyperlinked terms within the text, embedded multimedia, enhanced bookmarking, and better search that will radically improve the user experience, along with other critical amendments to reflect changes in market practice. This upgrade will ensure that the definitions help the derivatives community trade safely and efficiently for years to come. Visit the ISDA website to learn more.
Sending all of those supplements into forced redundancy represents a major step forward. As it stands, firms have to trawl through the definition booklet and the 70-plus supplements that have been published since 2006 to fully understand the terms of the new trade. Doing that for historical transactions can quickly become very complex, resource-intensive, and prone to error. Rather than publishing supplements in paper or PDF form to reflect changes in the regulatory and market practice, ISDA will be able to revise and update the definition booklets in full each time an update is necessary. In fact, ISDA will stop publishing supplements for the 2006 definitions altogether from the third quarter of this year. Over time, certain elements of the 2021 definitions will be made available in code and aligned with the CDM. This will not only improve efficiency, but it will allow information contained in the definitions to flow seamlessly through to the trading desk and risk departments, as well as market infrastructures and counterparties. It will also allow updates and amendments to feed through to other systems as well, cutting down on the potential for errors, discrepancies, and the need for manual intervention. When it comes to the digital creating, negotiating, and distributing legal agreements, our two flagship platforms are ISDA Create and the ISDA Online Library. Together, these two platforms help firms overcome the huge operational challenges of conducting bilateral negotiations with hundreds of individual counterparties. From the very first CSA to the recent addition of the ISDA Master Agreement, ISDA Create has remained true to its mission to enable the electronic creation, negotiation, and execution of critical documentation. The effect has been to increase standardization, transparency, and efficiency while reducing cost, time, and risk. The first module of this ISDA Create was designed to support initial margin documentation, which remains incredibly important as the industry prepares for the Phase 5 IM deadline on September 1, 2021. At this point, ISDA expects hundreds of entities to come into scope in Phase 5, far more than the number of firms caught by the previous 4 phases combined. As firms work against the clock to meet the deadline, ISDA Create will be a vital resource that enables them to efficiently negotiate, execute all the relevant documentation. In the context of remote working, being able to manage documentation electronically has become more important than ever. That's why the recent expansion of ISDA Create to include the ISDA Master Agreement is so significant. Before I wrap up, I'd like to touch briefly on a major market event that has occurred during this turbulent time. It's the death of Libor. Following an announcement by the UK FCA on March 5, we now know for certain when each of the Libor settings will either cease publication or become non-representative. That means we know when the new ISDA fallbacks will apply. The implementation of fallbacks significantly reduces the amount of systemic risk that would arise if an IBOR permanently ceases, or in the case of Libor, is deemed non-representative before firms have transitioned to alternative rates. So far, more than 13,800 entities across roughly 85 jurisdictions have adhered to ISDA's fallback protocol, which allows firms to incorporate fallbacks into their existing non-cleared derivatives. This makes it one of our most successful protocols ever, and this is testament to the industry's understanding of the need for an effective and efficient way to manage Libor exposure. In our first few sessions today, we'll look more at the details and the timetable for the cessation of Libor, as well as the rates that will replace it. As I noted at the start of these remarks, the pandemic has wreaked havoc on almost every aspect of our lives, inflicting huge economic damage around the world. But as we meet today at our virtual AGM, I am optimistic about the future. The rapid development of the vaccine gives me confidence that in time we will return to normality. During this period of disruption and hardship, we as an industry have taken an important step forward in our digital journey, and we plan to maintain that momentum during the recovery. ISDA will continue to develop and promote mutualized solutions that help our members comply with regulations in the most efficient way possible and to maintain safe and efficient derivative markets. I'd like to finish by thanking our sponsors, our speakers, and delegates for their support of the AGM in this different format. I hope you find these sessions useful and engaging. Thank you very much.